today, you're here today because you're a high achiever. And you want to learn about all the latest and greatest when it comes to social media marketing. But as we've seen today, you're also learning what it takes and what it's like to be a good human being. And my contribution to that is helping you discover and unleash your heroic potential, showing up as the best version of yourself when it comes to your energy, your work, and your love. But before we get started, I had this planned. I did not know that Terry was going to have everybody get up and walk around, so bear with me on this one. I need a favor, so I'd like to have everybody stand up, please. You don't have to walk to the stage, just stand up. I'm not going to have you look into someone's eyes like Brian did. We've already done that. That was my plan A, but I've had to adapt into the next step. So what we're going to do is we're going to take 3 deep breaths. And maybe not contrary to popular belief, but believe it or not, there is a right way to breathe and a wrong way to breathe. And a lot of people sometimes still breathe through their mouths, and that's okay if you do, but if you breathe through your mouth, you're putting yourself into fight or flight mode. Owen, my man. So we're going to take 3 deep breaths the right way, and the right way is to take a deep breath in through your nose, down into your belly, and then exhale also through your nose, with that exhale being slightly longer than the inhale. And we're going to do this 3 times, and I'm going to invite you to close your eyes if you feel comfortable doing that. Bring a little smile to the corners of your lips, to your face, and we're going to do those 3 deep breaths. So breath number 1, in through the nose, down into the belly, exhaling slightly longer than the inhale through your nose. Let's do it again. Let's breathe in deep through the nose, down into the belly. Exhale slightly longer than the inhale through your nostrils. And one last time, deep breath in through the nose, down into the belly. And let's do that exhale slightly longer than the inhale. Open your eyes. How do you feel? You feel good? Awesome. Thank you for that. Have a seat. So what that does, that's what my coaches call flipping the switch, and it's resetting your parasympathetic nervous system. It's bringing you to a place of calm. You can do that anytime you want. You're sitting in traffic, somebody cuts you off, you're stuck at a train in Lima. Do some of that deep breathing, and it's going to bring you to a place of calm. So let's start with that. All right, so today I'm going to be talking about helping you become the best version of yourself when it comes to your energy, your work, and your love. Now, how many of you have heard the saying, I wish there were more hours in the day? At least 3 of you. Excellent. So, spoiler alert, there is no way to get more hours in your day. We're all working with the same 24 hours in a day. But there are ways to maintain or increase your energy throughout the day so that you can be more productive. And I will say what I'm going to be talking about today comes with a little disclaimer. And that disclaimer is that we are all at different seasons of our lives. I'm going to turn 50 in September. I've got 2 adult kids and a 14-year-old at home. I'm a small business owner. You may not be any of those things, so you may need to adapt some of what I'm going to talk about, but everything is completely doable if you're willing to put in the work. And as I was putting this keynote together, the phrase from one of my favorite movies, The Untouchables, came to mind. And it's Sean Connery talking to Kevin Costner, and he says, what are you prepared to do? And that's what this is about. What are you prepared to do? A lot of what I'm going to talk about, you've heard before, but are you doing it? So let's move to energy, and let's talk about AM and PM bookends because you have the most control over your mornings and your evenings. Those first few hours after you wake up in the morning, and the last few hours before you go to bed at night. That is your time to take care of yourself and do what's important. But we're going to start with the PM instead of the AM because every day starts the night before. You want to set yourself up for success by having a strong PM bookend. And the first step in this, and it sounds very basic, figure out your ideal bedtime. I went through a long period where I thought that my bedtime was between 10 and 11. Because that's what time my spouse would go to bed. That gave me time to watch 2 hours of TV after my kids went to bed. But sometimes I would find myself nodding off at 8 or 8:30, and then I was fighting to stay awake to that bedtime of 10 or 10:30. Healthy adults need at least 7 hours of sleep a night. The window's 7 to 9, but at least 7 hours of sleep a night, and that's according to the CDC. How many of you get less than 7 hours of sleep a night? Raise your hand. How many of you, keep your hands up. How many of you don't track your sleep at all? So that's a good number right there. Your sleep is the #1 indicator for your energy and how productive you're going to be at work. And a lot of us don't pay any attention to it at all. So how do you figure out your ideal bedtime? 2 ways. The first is to pick a weekend, pick a Friday night or a Saturday night, and don't set an alarm, and see what time you wake up. So let's say you wake up at 8 a.m. So you want to work back 8 hours and figure out, okay, then I need to go to bed at whatever time, whatever 8 hours before that is, midnight, in order to get a full 8 hours of sleep. So trial and error is figuring out that first way of how much sleep you need or what your ideal bedtime is. For me, again, I realized that I was waking up consistently between 5:30 and 6 a.m. every day of the week, regardless of what time I went to bed. So that told me I'm going to wake up at 5:30. My ideal bedtime is 9:30 p.m. The second way to figure that out is to get a sleep tracker. And I see many people out there with Apple Watches on. I am in the cult of Oura. And we got a few disciples over here. I know I got one over there that I'm married to. But we are in the cult of Oura, which is, in my opinion, the best sleep tracker on the market, the best overall health tracker on the market. And the nice thing about Oura, and this is not a paid promotion in any way, unfortunately, is Oura will track it's got sensors built into the ring. Back to the Apple Watch. I hate wearing a watch to bed. I don't know about anybody else, but I hate wearing a watch to bed. So I switched to the Oura Ring about 1.5 years ago. After wearing your Oura Ring for several weeks, Oura will give you a targeted bedtime window, which is fantastic. You know what Oura said my target bedtime is? Between 8:45 and 9:45 p.m. And I figured out on my own that my target bedtime was 9:30. So this is a lot of talk about sleep, but it's because it's so important, not only to your productivity, but your overall health. Longer conversation, happy to talk about it tomorrow at the table talk, or catch me tonight at the VIP party or wherever. Step number 2, to increase your energy, maintain your energy, install a digital sunset. This has been a game changer for me. It's been over 1 year since I did this. What is a digital sunset? Turn off all of your screens at least an hour before you go to bed. Anybody afraid of this? Thank you for your honesty. It is absolutely doable. Turn off your phone, turn off your TV, turn off your tablet, turn off your Kindle. Turn off every screen at least an hour before you go to bed. We've heard this stuff, but how many of us are paying attention to it? Blue light is screwing us all up when it comes to bedtime and sleep. And not only that, but our eyes are going to be totally screwed by the time we're in our 50s, 60s, and 70s, maybe sooner. But that last little blurb there, that blue light stimulates the brain, inhibiting melatonin secretion and enhancing adrenocortical hormone production, which will destroy the hormonal balance and directly affect your sleep quality. This isn't a myth. This is science that's telling us if you're on your phone until the minute your head hits the pillow or after your head hits the pillow, you're only screwing up your life and your health. So digital sunset. My ideal bedtime, 9:30. My digital sunset starts at 8:30 p.m. That's tough to keep a lot of times. And the nights that I don't keep that digital sunset or that ideal bedtime, I don't have as good a day the next day. So I'm inviting you to try installing a digital sunset. We'll get to the end here, and I've got a challenge for everybody. But keep in mind, the digital sunset can have a great impact on you. The 2 biggest things I've noticed, I fall asleep significantly faster, and I get more quality sleep when I follow the digital sunset. PM bookend, step 3, take your last bite of food at least 3 hours before you go to bed. Any late night snackers in the audience? Look at that. I used to be one of you. taking your last bite of food at least 3 hours before you go to bed means that your body is not trying to process that food when you're trying to sleep. Your body will allow you to get that restorative quality sleep instead of processing food. Side benefit of this, it helps with weight control when you take your last bite of food at least 3 hours before you go to bed. So my ideal bedtime, 9:30, digital sunset, 8:30, last bite of food, 6:30. I do have OCD, by the way, just in case. So I keep track of all these things. So there's your PM bookend. Figure out ideal bedtime, step 1, digital sunset, step 2, last bite of food, step 3. Your AM bookend is significantly easier. You want to create quick wins first thing in the morning. That could be drinking a glass of water. That could be moving your body. That could be anything that's going to be a quick, easy win that's good for you. That's step 1. Why early morning? Your brain is rested. Your motivation is high. You're less distracted. You've heard of the 5 a.m. club. Maybe. There's a book called the 5 a.m. Club. Now, I don't get up at 5. I get up at 6. But I use the first 3 hours of my day to set myself up for success. I get those quick wins. First thing I do when I wake up, drink 8 ounces of water. Flushes my system, rehydrates my system. Super important to maintaining your health and your energy throughout the day. I don't have time in the morning, Mark. Why are you talking about this stuff? I'm busy. I got a baby. I got toddlers. I got to take care of my parents, all this stuff. I bet you have 1% of your day. 1% of your day is 14 minutes and 40 seconds. Try spending 1% of your day doing something to set yourself up for success. That could be exercise. It could be meditation. It could be food prep. It could be whatever you want it to be. Start with 1% of your day, 14 minutes and 40 seconds. If you want to read a fantastic book that will help you plan this, I would highly suggest The Miracle Morning by Hal Elrod. I talked about that 2 years ago when I was on stage. Number 1 book I recommend for setting yourself up for success in the morning. That's it for the AM bookend. One thing, quick wins, but you can expand on that. And if I shared everything I did in the morning, as my wife is well aware, you might get scared off of this whole process, but you can keep adding things as you go. And then you get to work. Now, for many of you, you'll get to work on Friday. Who are we kidding? Most of you aren't going back to work until Monday. And you're going to get buried under everything you missed while you were here, plus all of the new stuff that lands on your desk starting on Monday. Your inbox is going to be calling your name. The number 1 thing that you can do when you get to work is focus. And I have a radical suggestion for you when it comes to focus. Put your phone in focus mode, either airplane mode, or if anyone has an iPhone, how many iPhone users are there in the audience? Most of you. Good. I assume Android has the same thing. Go into your settings, scroll down, focus right there. You can choose what people can contact you during a certain time frame and what apps can get through to you during a certain time frame. The only people that can reach me between the hours of 9 a.m. and 4 p.m. are my wife and my kids. That's it. I don't let any apps get through to me at all. I'm not being bombarded with Facebook messages or text messages or telemarketer phone calls or any of that stuff. And at 4 p.m., my phone blows up with everything that I've missed for the last 7 hours, and I give myself 1 hour to return those phone calls, follow up on those text messages, respond to those customer interactions on Facebook, Instagram, what have you. Set up the focus mode of your phone, and I can guarantee that your productivity is going to increase substantially. We don't even realize how much those little interruptions are wreaking havoc with what we're able to produce. WINS. What's important now? I love this acronym. I use it all the time. What's important now when you get to work? Create deep work blocks. Hashtag Cal Newport. Now, if you want to read a book about deep work, read Deep Work by Cal Newport. What's important now? Now, this is maybe going to be different for a lot of people, but I think there's some consistencies here. For me, what's important now falls into 3 different categories. The first category is it a revenue generator for my business? because without cash flow, without revenue, I have no business. So that has to be number one. Number two, is it time sensitive? Do I have a keynote presentation at Social Media Week Lima that I have to prepare? I have to have it done by a certain point. Number three, do I have a commitment that I've made to somebody else? The old do what you say you will do. Follow through on your word, follow through on your commitments. Those are my big three buckets for wins, for what's important now. Because all of us will end up with to-do lists that are a mile long. Anybody have that to-do list that just kind of like carries over from Monday to Tuesday to Wednesday to Thursday to Friday? Well, your what's important now tasks should not. They should be done that day that you add it to your list. Move. That's why we stood up. Now, Terry stole my thunder by having people come up and dig for lightsabers, but I was all excited, like, hey, we've been sitting for 2 hours. Everybody stand up at the beginning of this presentation. But there are 3 different types of movements that will help your energy level throughout the day. The first is circadian rhythms. Most of us are familiar with circadian rhythms, the internal kind of clock within our bodies that says we sleep when the moon is out and we're awake when the sun is up. That's circadian. Then there are ultradian rhythms. Ultradian rhythms are smaller, regular activities, cycles that happen throughout the day. Now, when Jessica puts this program together for Social Media Week Lima, I love it how she structures the breaks, because the human brain is not designed to keep focus for more than 60 to 90 minutes without a break. So those breaks are fantastic. Have you ever been to a conference or a meeting that just goes on and on and on, and you're like, I need to get up, I need to move around? You do those deep work blocks of 60 to 90 minutes, and then take a 10 to 15 minute brain break, where maybe you walk around, you do some stretching, you do some jumping jacks. And then one of my coaches, Brian Johnson, has come up with a made-up word called micradian rhythms, which is even smaller bits of movement. And there is data out there that NASA has actually done tests with astronauts that shows that they need to be moving every 20 minutes to keep the blood flow working, to keep their health optimal. So, I mentioned earlier Apple Watches, and I don't like wearing watches to bed. I swapped out my Apple Watch for an old school digital watch that has a timer function. And when I'm seated at my desk, I set this recurring timer for 20 minutes. And when that 20-minute timer goes off, I usually get up and do 10 push-ups in my office. Again, I'll do a little walk. I'll do some jumping jacks, just something to get the body moving every 20 minutes, especially when you're sitting. And then finally, for work, which will help with your energy and your mental health, shut down complete. How many of us take work home with us? Whether that's checking email after work, checking work socials, bringing papers home, any of that stuff. You need a hard shutdown. My shutdown is 5 p.m. Most times, I do not do anything work-related after I get home, because that's the time to connect with my spouse, to connect with my kids, and to create strong love moments that are not being interrupted by work. So I would suggest, if you can, install a shutdown complete, and actually say it as you're walking out of your office, as you're getting in your car. Shutdown complete. So, tips for showing up as the best version of yourself at work. Focus, put your phone in work mode. Focus on your wins. What's important now? Move. We've got getting up and moving every 20 minutes, focused work for 60 to 90 minutes, and taking 10 to 15 minute brain breaks during those deep work blocks. And then installing shutdown complete. Your workday's done. The last section that I'll be talking about today is love. Showing up as the best version of yourself when it comes to love. And this ties in with so much of what has been talked about today. I love how this kind of all flows together. So we're going to talk about 3 types of love. We're going to talk about love 0.0, which is loving yourself. And the one kind of mantra that hopefully that you can take away from this in regards to love is to bring a flashlight, not a hammer, when it comes to loving yourself. We beat ourselves up a lot. At least I do. Especially if you're an entrepreneur, if you're a small business owner, we have a tendency to beat ourselves up a lot. And we bring that hammer. Oh, that presentation could have gone so much better. I forgot what I was going to say. Or That promotion that we ran, didn't land the way that I wanted it to, beat ourselves up with a hammer. Instead, bring a flashlight. Get curious. Get curious and investigate why something maybe isn't working the way that you want it to. And this can tie into your diet. This can tie into your exercise program. This can tie into your relationships. Throw that hammer away. Bring that flashlight. Get curious about what's not working. And that's love 0.0. You have to love yourself first before you can love somebody else. Love 1.0, familial love. Your significant other, your children, your siblings, your parents, and being able to respond to their bids for your attention and affection. So that goes back to not taking your work home with you at the end of the day because your kid says, hey, mommy, daddy, I want to play a game. Come outside and play catch with me. Oh, I can't, I'm busy. I have to do this. A bid from your spouse. Can you help me cook dinner tonight? Sometimes I do. But being able to respond to those bids is so important coming from those that we love the most. And finally, love 2.0, creating micro moments of awesome in our day-to-day interactions and slowing down and connecting. And an event like this is a great place to practice love 2.0. And I did invite my wife Angie here to come and listen to this because she is the queen of love 2.0. And I will give you some tangible examples. Recently, we were in Brooklyn. We were in New York, and we were doing a walking tour of the Brooklyn Bridge. And one of the ways that Angie shows love 2.0 is by offering to take photos for people that are trying to get selfies or photos. So we're walking across the bridge, and I didn't think we were going to make it to the halfway point because she was stopping everybody. I mean, like, hey, can I take a picture for you? Can I take this picture for you? But that's creating a micro moment of awesome with another human being that is going to increase your health and well-being. It's going to increase their health and well-being, and it's going to establish that we are all connected. A couple weeks ago, we were at a concert. We're walking around the Schottenstein Center in Columbus, going to our seats. And we were walking pretty fast, and it was pretty crowded in here. And all of a sudden, Angie breaks off from me, and she's going to compliment another woman on the dress she was wearing or on the T-shirt she had. There are all these opportunities, whether we're at the grocery store or we're at the bank or we're interacting with people that we don't even know, where we can offer words of praise, where we can offer compliments, where we can create those micro moments of awesome. If you want to read more about Love 2.0, there's a great book called Love 2.0 by Barbara Fredrickson. Highly recommend that. We're going to hear a lot today and tomorrow about growing in how we use social media, but more importantly, growing as human beings. And growth is not about knowledge, it's about taking action. And that ties directly in with what Terry was talking about not burying your talent in the sand. We don't need to read another book. We don't need to listen to another podcast. We don't need to take another course. We know a lot of what we need to do in life. We just need to take action on it. So what are you going to take action on to step into the best version of yourself? My challenge to you is to install one of these things, just one, in the next 48 hours or so. Something you want to try. Is that a digital sunset? Is that taking your last bite of food at least 3 hours before you go to bed? Putting your phone in work mode? Creating quick wins? So that could be drinking that full glass of water in the morning, or moving your body, meditating, anything like that. And then instead of Love 2.0, let's call it creating micro moments of awesome. Which of those are you going to take action on? And I want you to follow me on either Instagram or Twitter. My social stuff is right there. And I want you to send me a message on which one of those you're going to take action on in the next 48 hours. And I want you to send me a message so that I can celebrate you and encourage you to follow through on that. Hopefully there's been something worthwhile, just one nugget that you took away from this. And again, follow me on Instagram or Twitter. Let me know what worked for you. I will be at a table talk tomorrow where I can dive deeper on anything that I've talked about today. And hopefully you've got some inspiration to show up as the best version of yourself in energy, work, and love. Thank you.